So thankful that you're joining us weekly here on Breaking the Norm. To all the stations that carry the show, my heartfelt thanks. So on behalf of John Shambi, I'm Les Norman. Thanks for listening today to Breaking the Norm.
WHB Kansas City.
As a pro athlete, I understood how devastating an injury could be. Injured athletes need staff that played the sport and understand the rehab process. Those professionals and that place is Boost Physical Therapy and Sports Performance. At Boost, you'll find state-of-the-art training equipment, a full indoor volleyball court, and a spacious turf training area. You can sign up for classes or clinics or schedule your rehab appointments. Just visit boostkc.com. With 5 locations in the metro, Boost Physical Therapy and Sports Performance has you covered from the point of injury to the field of play.
Okay, 90 seconds, guys.
To the newly formed Perfect Game Midwest, a home embodied by joy, memories, trust, and growth. A home that sits solidly on the foundation laid by Perfect Game Softball, and Midwest Sports Productions. For more than a quarter century, Perfect Game has provided the platform for hundreds of thousands of athletes to find their way to college baseball, the professional ranks, and even the major leagues, with nearly 1,500 reaching that pinnacle. They've been responsible for the new era of the championship destination event, driving the evolution of diamond sports. PG and PG Softball have always placed the athletes, their families, and coaches first, with well-run, impactful events. Now, Midwest Sports Productions, the pace car and youth fast pitch and baseball events blanketing the heart of America, joins forces, standards, and aspirations with PG to form Perfect
30.
West. The winner? You. Your journey. Your family. Your dreams. Your home. And from ours to yours, welcome home to Perfect Game Midwest.
To contact Perfect Game Midwest, call 913-543-6116 or visit baseball@pgmidwest.org or fastpitch@pgmidwest.org.
America's largest all-sports radio station presents the #1 motorsports show for over 2 decades. Track Talk, brought to you by Rod End Supply and the Power Ride Midwest Lightning Sprints. Here are the racing boys, Scott Traylor and Kirk Elliott.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Track Talk here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. The Drake running the show back there at Sports Radio 810. Todd Surprise running the show here at RBN, the Racing Boys Broadcasting Network. Kirk Elliott, my partner. For 23 years, we've been on the air together. Can you believe it, Kirk? It's been 23 years that we've been on the air together. Can you believe that?
Sure, I can believe it. At the time, I didn't think that was possible when I first joined up with you, but here we are.
Hey, so why didn't you think it was possible that we were going to make it?
Well, I didn't think I'd live to 23 years of doing anything. So,
well, that's not right.
Well, when I take on something, I never think about how long I'm going to do it.
Right.
I just keep doing it till I get tired of it or somebody boots me out, which is probably more the case than me just getting tired of it.
Kirk, do you think that we can make 25 years? Do you think we can do it?
Well, at this point, yeah.
I would love to be able to do 25 years together with you.
Yeah, at this point, why not?
Yeah, no doubt about it.
So, it's all due to the great folks at Sports Radio 810 WHB, Chad Boger and the Drake and all the folks over there that's allowed us to do this all this many years.
They have been so good to us over the years, man. It's unbelievable to really to believe that they believed in us all these years, man. That's really great.
We're having fun. Anytime we can watch races,
no doubt about it.
That's what it's all about for us.
We got a pretty good show lined up for you today. As most people know, that we play some sound bites from our show that we do on Monday. It's called Mostly Motorsports. We've got Blake Hahn, Pat Sullivan, Trenton Berry, and Chase Rodman. Pretty good group of guys there, right there.
And Pat Sullivan has had a very busy week. He has been with the USAC, the United States Auto Club, as an announcer and in other capacities for a long time.
Yep.
He also MCs the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame awards banquet every year, co-MCs that with Dave Argabright. And
He's
yesterday, he emceed the induction ceremony for the United States Auto Club. They put in some members of the Hall of Fame yesterday.
He's one of the great racing historians, isn't he?
Yeah.
Wouldn't you think so, Kurt?
Yes, he's been around a long time,
Yeah.
and he's seen it all. And he is also on the PA mic this weekend at the dirt track at Indianapolis Motor Speedway, along with Chet Christner, calling the BC39, the Drive to Save Lives BC39.
So let's talk about that race last night. Did Justin Grant hit just about everybody on the racetrack?
Yeah, he
was
wanting it.
He was wanting that win in the worst way. And to be honest with you, a lot of drivers want that win at IMS. They want to win on that dirt track.
Yeah, it's one of the crown jewels of all of midget racing. You know, you talked about the Chili Bowl, Turkey Night Grand Prix, and you got to throw the BC39, the Driven to Save Lives BC39, as the other crown jewel event, along with Turkey Night and the Chili Bowl. And Justin Grant, who won the Turkey Night last year, he's still yet to win the Chili Bowl. He wants to check off the BC39 as a big win, and he's on his way of doing that. He won every race he was in last night. He won his heat, qualifier, and the feature event. Won all of that.
Want to give a shout out to Kelly. He's listening in from Oregon today.
Welcome.
Yeah. So that's always good to hear somebody outside of the Kansas City market listening to our show, and we can't thank him enough for doing so up there in Oregon. So, Kirk?
Yeah, it's fun to watch the dirt racing last night.
How many times did Grant get into somebody last night?
Oh, I've lost count. I don't know.
I don't know how many times he got into somebody, but it was frequent, wasn't it?
Yeah, and most of the veterans up there, and I consider Grant a veteran racer, but you guys got guys like Zach Dahm and Logan Seavey that called out the young guys last night, or the young ladies, there's a few of those too, about the way they race. And they're not happy. Logan Seavey not happy with Dazen Pursley with the move that Pursley made, the bomb that he threw on Logan Seavey last night that knocked him out. And Zach Dahm not happy about some of the things that happened. The Dominator won the Stoops Pursuit to close out the night last night. But you look at Justin Grant, he's a veteran racer. He's one of the veterans out there. And I think it's a product of the stakes that are on the line, the racetrack itself, that everybody is just going for it.
Right.
As a race fan, I like it, Scott. I'm watching it. I don't have to pay for anything. I'm entertained by it. So as a race fan, I love it.
What a tough break for Brady Bacon last night. He was supposed to start on the second row and had a problem with his car right before the feature event started.
Yeah.
Did
and
you
he
see
put
that?
himself in great position.
Oh, yeah. No doubt about
come
it.
out with a great spot last
He
night.
could have been a potential winner.
Of course, a lot of people would say, maybe he included, he's lucky to be even in a race car this weekend after what happened to him at Eldora Speedway
Where he
last
got the
week. when
methanol in his eye?
Some methanol in his eye.
Right.
And they had to flush it out. And so that was a pretty serious situation.
you
He
see
wasn't able to run the Silver Crown race at the Four Crown Nationals, and they got him fixed up to even get in a race car last night. Was probably a big thing for Brady Bacon.
Kirk, did you see the picture of his eye?
Yeah.
It was really swelled up, man. It was really big.
And the biggest thing that Brady talked about is not so much how much it hurt or the pain to it, but the fact that he couldn't see out of both eyes. And he said that Eldora Speedway is a place you want to have both your eyes wide open. That's a place where you want to see.
Right.
So it was more about his vision than it was the pain or the damage to his eye, which was pretty concerning there for a little bit.
How about our boy Clinton Boyles? He raced his way in through the B, and he made it into the A, and he ran 16th last night. I don't know if anybody knows this, but Clinton Boyles was a pretty big part of our Lucas Oil our
The
Lucas
Chili Bowl
Oil
and the
Chili Bowl
shootout.
broadcast, right? Yeah.
Yeah, he was, and he does a great job. He still works for Flo at the Chili Bowl and the shootout.
Right.
Great analyst, but he doesn't drive a race car all that much anymore.
He's a
the
crew chief.
crew chief for Vermeer Racing in the 55 car on the All-Star
Kerry
circuit.
Madsen.
So he's not able to climb in a race car all that often, and probably he hasn't been in a midget since the Chili Bowl. So he's racing against guys that are doing this all the time.
But he ended up winning that B main.
Yeah,
Did you see
he
that?
did.
Yeah.
He won the B main. So he's doing a good job, and we'll see how it all shakes out tonight. The top 3 finishers from Thursday night and the top 3 from last night are already locked in, and they'll have preliminary rounds to fill out the rest of the field for tonight's Driven to Save Lives BC 39 feature event. So I think the racing has been spectacular. The track on Thursday night was pretty heavy. They got a lot of rain on Wednesday night, rained out Wednesday night.
It was fast.
Program, so it was one lane, at least earlier in the night. It widened out as the night went on Thursday night, but last night was typical of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway dirt track that we've seen over the last few years since they put that track in. So very exciting racing last night, and more of the same expected tonight.
Last night, the World of Outlaws got rained out right before their feature. Did you see that?
Bummer.
Yeah.
They got everything in but the A main. They had, matter of fact, they had the cars out on the track ready to get lined up for the start.
Right.
And then it just started raining and they couldn't get it in. So they're going to make that up tonight after the regular show. So it doesn't count for anything.
They're going to run the regular show and then they're going to run an extra feature.
That was the word that they put out last night. So $75,000 to win the National Open tonight at Williams Grove Speedway. Lance Deweese is the defending winner of that race. And you've got former winners like David Gravel, Carson Macedo, Donnie Schatz all in the field tonight. Danny Dietrich has won this race before. So it's going to be interesting to see how it all shakes out tonight. Brent Marks, another driver that is a former winner of the National Open. So that is one of the World of Outlaw crown jewel events, the National Open. And so we'll look in on that tonight at Williams Grove Speedway.
Hey, Kirk, the rumor's going around right now that High Limits is going to buy the All-Stars. You've heard that rumor.
Yeah, heard that rumor.
Right.
Nothing's set in stone yet. I don't know if that's going to happen or not. When Brad Sweet and Kyle Larson announced the High Limit Series, they made a point by saying, we're not here to compete against the World of Outlaws. They said that.
Well, that's not true. They're going to compete against the World of Outlaws.
Well, according to all the indications and things that have happened, it sure seems that way. They're not denying it now.
Right.
And Mike Hess, who's been the race director for the World of Outlaws over the last 8 years.
He was at the High Limit race, wasn't
no
he?
longer with the World of Outlaws. I don't know this to be a fact, but there was talk that he was in the booth at the High Limit race at Lernerville Speedway the other night.
Yeah.
So you can draw whatever conclusions of that. No announcements have been made what Mike Hess is going to be doing in the future. But one thing we do know, he's no longer the race director for the World of Outlaws.
Well, that is a big loss for them because he's been there for quite a while, right? He's been
8
there
years.
8 years.
And he's good.
Yeah.
Now, Mike Hess is a former driver.
Right.
I mean, he's raced, in USAC, and he's a former racer. And I think you'd agree with me, Scott. I think he's done a great job as the race director for the Outlaws.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
So, there's some big shoes to fill over there. So, yeah, there's a lot of rumors going around. I don't know what's going to happen. If the World of Outlaws are going to have big-time competition with the High Limit Series in the future, if the All-Star Circuit of Champions are going to be sold, I don't know what's going to happen, but a lot of talk swirling around the industry right now, and we'll just have to wait and see what happens.
Do you believe that Tony Stewart's going to sell the All-Stars?
I don't know.
I can't even get my head. I can't get my head around that, to be honest with you. because how long has he owned that? Since 05, right?
Yeah,
About 05?
I think so. I'm not exactly sure what year he did buy it.
I think he purchased it in 05.
But
But it shocks me to think that Tony Stewart would sell the All-Stars. Is that surprising to you, Kirk?
yeah, it is surprising to me.
Yeah.
So anyway, there's a lot of rumors, a lot of talk floating around. Nothing set in stone, nothing concrete. But as far as I'm concerned, the biggest development of this past week is Mike Hess, no longer with the World of Outlaws as its race director, and what he's going to do from here on out. People are going to be watching. So we'll see what happens. What's going to happen? What's Brad Sweet going to do in the future? He's on his way to winning his 5th straight championship with the World of Outlaws. But he's talked in interviews over the last few months that, at some point he's not going to want to go the full circuit anymore, that he's wanted to go do other things. He's gotten into promoting now. He likes that. He wants to spend more time with his family.
Right.
What's Brad Sweet going to do next year? My feeling is this probably is the last full year that Brad Sweet is going to run the 49 Napa car on the World of Outlaw Tour. I get that feeling this could be the last year that
Kirk,
Brad Sweet does that.
I think you're completely wrong. I think that as long as he can win championships, he's going to continue to do that. He's going to try to get to number 10 like Donnie Schatz.
So you think otherwise? You think that he's going to stay doing what he's doing?
Yeah,
I
really do.
What about his involvement with Kyle Larson in the High Limit Series? What's he wanting to do with that?
Well,
he seems to enjoy himself with a headset on at a race, being a promoter.
Listen, as a race car driver, you'll never, ever get over driving a race car. I know. It's been 13 years since I drove a race car, and I still want to race one.
Well, I think he's not going to completely get out of driving a race car. But as far as a full-time outlaw racer after this year, I don't know. I just get the feeling based on some of the things he's said in interviews, this might be it once he wraps up this championship.
I don't believe he's going to do that. He's got an 80-point lead over David Gravel now.
He's going to win his 5th straight.
Oh, no doubt about it.
But it was, and you're big on this, promoters racing in their own series. When you saw Brad Sweet and Kyle Larson duking it out the other night, and both of them had trouble, and David Gravel slips in and takes all the money.
Right.
The first thing out of David Gravel's mouth is, I love taking Kyle and Brad's money.
My biggest problem is we've said this for years, Kirk, haven't we? We've said it for years that I don't like when a promoter races at their race. I just don't get it. Brad Sweet, he was in position to take that $50,000, and Kyle Larson was running second, or he was running.
Larson had
he had the lead there for a bit,
and he slipped by in turn 2 at the loose stuff.
Almost.
I don't know
flipped.
how he kept that car going straight.
I don't either.
But he lost that race, and Brad Sweet did the same thing. He got up into the loose stuff
and did
after
almost in
he
the
had
same,
lost the lead, though.
Almost in the same spot, right, as Kyle Larson.
But the difference is that was after Brad Sweet had lost the lead.
Right.
But he was trying to hang on to second. So, anyway, David Gravel said, I love taking Kyle and Brad's money. And it was $50,000 to win.
Well, Rico ended up running second. Brad Sweet was third. And where did
that race was on Tuesday night at Lernerville Speedway.
Kyle Larson ended up running 8th.
Yeah.
After he led that race for a good portion of it.
He left the track up on the high side. He got completely off the racetrack.
I'm surprised he didn't flip that car. Were you?
Well, a lesser driver probably would have flipped that car.
Right.
Would you agree?
Yeah, no doubt.
So, entertaining night. Dale Jr. was in the house on Tuesday night at Lernerville Speedway.
Do you think Dale Jr. drawed in some non-sprint car fans that were going to be there at that race?
Maybe a few. It was a packed house.
It was.
At Lernerville Speedway.
It was.
Which, by the way, the World of Outlaws hasn't run there for the last couple of years because they got in a spat with the Lernerville Speedway folks because Lernerville Speedway officials decided to go with the Lucas Oil Late Model Series for their Firecracker 100, which used to be a World of Outlaw event. And the Outlaw says, we ain't bringing our sprint cars here anymore. They used to run the Don Martin Memorial Silver Cup.
Right.
So the Outlaws hadn't been there for a couple of years. I think it's a great racetrack, Lernerville Speedway. We've seen some great races there in the past few years, late models and sprint cars. So, yeah, it's sad that the Outlaws are not there, but it was good to see some great action on Tuesday night at Lernerville Speedway, which is located not too far outside of Pittsburgh.
Hey, Kirk, T-Mez won the other night, and what was that, Thursday night?
Yeah, he was the Thursday night winner, and
Taylor Rimmer finished in second. How about that? Yeah.
Great run for her. Yeah, T-Mez is also a GMS. Justin Grant and T-Mez are teammates.
Right.
T-Mez running that Ford engine the other night, and he's been kind of hit and miss most of the year. But they figured some things out with Dave Estep and that crew on that T-Mez car, and he looked good on Thursday night.
Hey, to be fair, Justin Grant has been dealing with motor problems this year.
Yeah, and Grant, that was his first midget win of the whole year last night.
Can't believe that.
Now, he's won in all three series now. He's the only driver this year to
win in
won
a midget?
in sprint cars, Silver Crown, and midgets.
Yeah.
So Justin Grant was able to pull that off last night. But GMS Racing looks really strong right now at the BC 39 with T-Mez and Justin Grant.
Yeah, no doubt about it. All right, Kirk. You got anything else you want to add?
Just throw out the late model winners last night were Ricky Thornton Jr., his 22nd win of the year at Raceway 7 out in Ohio, and Mike Marlar winning the opening night of two nights at Atomic Speedway for the World of Outlaw late models.
Yeah, no doubt. Bobby Pierce picked up Night in America.
Flow Racing Night of America at Tyler County Speedway. That race was on Wednesday night. So,
yeah,
they're your late model winners from the past few days.
All right, we're going to take a break. Most Track Talk is brought to you by Rod End Supply, featuring the POWRi Midwest Lightning Sprints. And their season's over, Kirk, right?
They got one more night tonight.
Where are they at? I-35?
I-35 Speedway.
I-35 Speedway.
And, weather looks good for up there tonight. Also, this is Talladega weekend, NASCAR at Talladega, Truck Series today and Cup Series tomorrow. You love Talladega.
One of my favorite races to go to.
Who's going to win? That's hard to predict, isn't it, tomorrow?
It's really hard to predict who's going to win. But if I was going to predict anybody, I would probably predict that Joey Logano. He's pretty good on restrictor plate.
He has had a very good run of it here over the last few weeks. Missed the cut for the round of 8 in the round of 12 in the playoffs. William Byron won his 6th last week at Texas. Kyle Busch was the winner at Talladega in the spring. Can he do it again? I have no idea. I have no clue who's going to win that race tomorrow. It's just you just never know.
All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, more of Track Talk. It's all brought to you by Rod End Supply, featuring the POWRi Midwest Lightning Sprints. You're on Sports Radio 810 WHB. We'll be right back.
Track Talk. Rod End Supply is involved with a variety of motorsports as well as industrial applications with many different types of products. Since 1989, Rod End Supply has provided superior products priced competitively. Whether you're racing at the circle track or drag strip, rock climbing, or going off-road, Rod End Supply has an assortment of rod ends, radius rods, and specialty products to keep your equipment moving. Rod End Supply's experienced staff is ready and willing to help you with your needs. Their promise is to continue to provide a superior product with superior service so you can stay in front of the field no matter what it is. To learn more, go to rodendsupply.com.
Your locally owned and operated Big O Tires has the best deal on tires, brakes, oil changes, and more. Now through October 1st, get $50 to $100 in instant savings on 4 select in-stock Nexen or National tires. It's part of their Big Deal Savings event. And remember, Big O has convenient financing options available as well. These savings won't last. So what are you waiting for? Act now. Make an appointment online at bigotires.com or head into one of their 16 locations today. Big O Tires, the team you trust.
Hi folks, Chris Oswald here. If having your own backyard oasis is in your future, don't wait another second. Call my professional staff at ProBuilt Pool and Patio today. As the largest provider of fiberglass pools and spas, we have over 250 fiberglass pools and spa models to offer you. If the pool's too cool for you, check out our large lineup of hot tubs, saunas, and swim spas. Call or click today, 816-786-3893 or online at ProBuiltPatio.com.
Brew at the Zoo returns to the Kansas City Zoo and Aquarium this fall. Enjoy a 21 and over evening at the zoo on Saturday, October 14th, featuring live music, free samples from over 40 local breweries, food trucks, and this year your ticket also includes access to Glow Wild, the zoo's immersive lantern festival. Your ticket benefits the zoo's conservation fund, helping animals at home and around the globe. Grab your tickets online today at kansascityzoo.org. That's kansascityzoo.org.
The future of joint pain relief is here. It's QC Kinetics, Advanced Regenerative Medicine. This is amazing stuff. Hey, this is SSJ. If you've been told more steroids or surgery are your only options, not so fast. Get a second opinion and learn more about how you can harness your body's own healing agents to attack that joint pain. I'm talking lasting relief. QC Kinetics doesn't mask the pain. These treatments go to the very root of the problem, using concentrated healing properties placed directly in your joint to restore and repair that damaged tissue. Imagine living your life this fall with no more pain in your knees, your hips, your shoulder, or your back, with no drugs, no downtime, and no surgery. Listen, life is about motion, and QC Kinetics is giving people their lives back with these all-natural treatments. Call the local medical professionals and get a free consultation today. QC Kinetics, the nation's leader in regenerative medicine. Call 816-412-6299. That's 816-412-6299. Located off 435 and State Line and also in Gladstone. 816-412-6299. QC Kinetics.
The Outlaws are coming. It's the World of Outlaws NOS Energy Drink Sprint Cars. High-speed, daring wing sprint cars and the greatest show on dirt. Saturday, October 14th. It's the Microlight Harvest Rumble at Lakeside Speedway in Kansas City. See Tony Stewart Racing's Donnie Schatz, Casey Kane Racing's Brad Sweet, and many more battle against the Midwest Heroes. Don't miss one huge night at Lakeside Speedway featuring World of Outlaws sprint cars. Saturday, October 14th. Racing at 7:30 p.m. Tickets at slspromotions.com or call 815-344-2023. Be there.
Henhouse has been your local market for over 100 years, and they have great specials back at the Butcher Block this weekend, like boneless beef ribeye steaks. I'm talking USDA choice, certified Hereford beef, 12 ounces, just $13. Or choose your own size for $16.99 a pound. How about fresh 85% lean ground beef, ground fresh several times each day, just $4.59 a pound. And if you want seafood, they have fresh Atlantic salmon portions, 6 ounces, just $6 each. It's all at Henhouse, your market since 1923.
When you want Chiefs, follow the leader. Sports Radio 810 W.
30 seconds.
For how teams are playing us, for those zone coverages, we're going to have to run the football. So to be able to get those guys going down hills, making the run plays, it opens up everything else.
For us as running backs, we only get one guy in the game at a time, so when that player is in, we're cheering him on.
How's that feel just to go out and beat the hell out of somebody?
It feels great. It feels more than great.
Your home for the NFL. Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Welcome back. It's Track Talk here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Drake running the show back at Sports Radio 810. Todd Surprise running the show for us here at RBN, the Racing Boys Broadcasting Network. Kirk Elliott, we had a chance to talk to Pat Sullivan, who is one of the great racing historians of all time.
That's right. He was on the PA at Eldora last weekend for the Four Crown Nationals. The same at Indianapolis Motor Speedway.
And at the BC 39 too, as well.
BC 39 coverage this weekend. Mm-hmm. And we've had Pat Sullivan on a number of times. Dr. Pat Sullivan, because he was a professor at Indiana University before he retired earlier this year. So now that he's retired, he gets to spend more time out at the racetrack, which
That's
he
good.
loves that.
And he's a big Kansas City fan. We love that.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
originally from Kansas.
At Kansas City, Kansas, right? So
yeah, got his start announcing races down at I-44 Speedway.
Is that where he started?
Back in the day, yeah.
I-44.
And then he got hired by the University of Indiana, so he moved to Indiana, got involved with USAC and the Indianapolis Motor Speedway.
You know what we need more of, Kirk? We need more of pavement racing here in Kansas City. Just saying.
Anyway, Pat Sullivan is a great MC for Hall of Fames. He co-MCs the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum induction ceremony with Dave Argabright every year, and he did the same with USAC yesterday, where they put Bobby East. They also put Ted Hadelbrand, Tracy Hines, Terry Linger. Also, they put the Wilkes family in the Hall of Fame and Bill Marble, all inductees in the Hall of Fame. So Pat Sullivan emceed all of that earlier this week. We spoke with Pat Sullivan on Mostly Motorsports, talking about Logan Seavey making history out at Eldora Speedway.
How about this, Pat? Logan Seavey picks up the midget, the non-wing, and the Silver Crown wins at Eldora. What is your thoughts about him achieving those goals in each one of those classes?
Well, it was phenomenal, of course. I was there when Jack Hewitt pulled off the 4 in a row, including a modified.
Right.
I don't think any of us gave us much chance of Logan winning the All-Star feature. A function of not running a wing a lot, although he has and he's good in it. But, I did think that perhaps he in no way, shape, or form came in as any sort of pre-race favorite. We know that. The sprint car has been the most phenomenal because he's picked up a couple of wins lately, and that whole program was out to sea at one point this year. To the degree, if I remember right, it was Eastern Storm. They brought in Kevin Thomas Jr. to kind of help sort things out. I mean, he was mediocre at best in that car, and it's a reminder that no matter how talented you are, you've got to have equipment that can, get the job done and be set up properly, etc. But it was one of those deals, guys, where, again, to go back to the Hewitt thing, when they lined up for the Silver Crown race, there was absolutely no doubt in my mind he was going to win the race. I mean, there was just none.
Yeah.
He was in the zone,
yeah.
and he's been in the zone. And it was just one of those magical moments. And what I really like about that, first of all, I love that event. But I really love it when a guy like Brian Brown sends out a tweet about what Logan Seavey did. When people from other disciplines take notice of that accomplishment and can applaud it, which I thought was great. There was a lot of great things that happened there. There was the great moment with Zeb Wise and Sunshine Tyler Courtney after, Zeb had wrapped up the entrance championship to go with the drivers championship with the All-Stars, and that really serious and very warm moment between the two of them. So it was a sort of a feel-good event, but Logan is an interesting guy. He's been a Power Ride champion, a USAC midget champion. He's won with ARCA. Should have won the very first NASCAR truck race at Eldora, led most of it. But there have been times over the course of his career, to me, where he suddenly sort of disappears, and you wonder what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
And then he gets hot, and when he's hot, he just reminds you how talented he is. And to negotiate that razor-thin cushion as he did in those 4 features, phenomenal.
Hey, I've got to say this. I felt really bad for Brady Bacon. He was supposed to start up towards the front. He might have been a player in that race if he wouldn't have got the gas in his the methanol in his eye.
No, he would have been a player. I mean, and I said on the broadcast, and I meant this. I said, if you asked Justin Grant, was he just thrilled to see Brady pull off and know that he was going to have a chance to pad his point lead at the sprint cars with USAC? I honestly believe Justin would say, no, I want to have a straight fight with Brady Bacon.
Yeah.
And he had talked it before when he won at Gas City, what a privilege it was to race for Brady. And I mean, all of us, to what degree did the problem result in Brady Bacon getting upside down when he qualified? I mean,
no doubt.
Brady Bacon doesn't get upside down like that very often. And so, yeah, it was just a heartbreaking situation, really. And then obviously, first of all, Logan basically pulled away, but at one point when Grant was closing, he sort of tagged the wall between 1 and 2, and I think the light bulb went off in Justin's head that said, big picture, dude, just keep it between the fences here and we're in good shape.
Yeah.
And that's what he did. That's to take nothing away from Logan. Absolutely nothing at all.
Hey, is Brady okay? What's the latest on Brady Bacon?
Yeah, I saw something today. I think he's fine.
Yeah.
I don't have the medical report there, but what I thought, we got a text from his wife, Ciciana, in the booth, and what I thought Ciciana implied, and again, this is not the definitive word. I can't be clearer on that. But what I sort of got from that is that the treatment, ultimately also may have caused the eye to sort of swell shut.
Right, yeah.
As well as just getting the methanol in the eye. So, I think he's going to be fine. Not that everybody wants to go around and get methanol in the eye. That can't be good. But the latest I saw is I think he's going to be fine.
Hey, 2 cars flipped in qualifying. Keith Schaefer, he flipped in the semi. What are your thoughts about Mitchell Moles and Brady Bacon flipping in qualifying? That tells you that they're right on the edge of trying to get as much speed out of the cars as they can, right?
Well, that's true, and I don't try to speak. This isn't even speaking ill of anybody, but this has been a little bit of an issue with Mitchell because he is A, not afraid, and B, fast. And I think he wants to do well, and I think he's stepped over that boundary more times than he would have liked. Now, the great thing about Mitchell Moles, and I'm not being funny here, I'm being really serious. He's really an excellent welder himself. So I know the kid. I know he rolls up the sleeves and gets up there and works with his team to fix those cars, and he feels bad about it. But it was, you boys know this. The technical word today is the word today is technical. When someone says a racetrack's technical, it usually means they probably like it different than it is.
I want to mention the BC39. It's coming up. Talk about that a little bit, and what is the magnitude of that event? A lot of people are trying to compare that to the Chili Bowl, but there's 350 cars that try to get into the Chili Bowl.
No, it's not the Chili Bowl.
Yeah.
It's not. Because you're not going to have the multi-disciplines represented that you do at the Chili Bowl. The Chili Bowl is still, to me, one of the most miraculous events. I actually spent a considerable amount of time here about a month ago with them and Han talking about the early days and, how it grew. And I was at the very first one, so, I have a pretty good sense of that.
Right.
The mystique, of course, is you're at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway.
No doubt.
And a place that some people had dreamed of when they were a young open-wheel racer, and this is the way they're going to get there. The fact that Doug Bowles, the president, is such a champion of short-track racing, and he's such a great promoter, and he's such a great man. His dad is the same way. Dad's still with us. And so there's that, the opportunity to put your name, and if you're at the back of the pagoda where they have all the winners from the previous year, their pictures in the event, you're right there. You're going to be right there with Joseph Newgarden, as a winner at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. A little different this year with the 4 days, splitting the field up in 2, which will make it a little bit more manageable. But, I just talked to Keith Roush here recently. Keith is a 13-time Rocky Mountain Midget Association champion. And, does Keith come to Indianapolis thinking he has a realistic shot of winning? if you peered in his soul, he'd probably tell you not. I mean,
Yeah.
he knows what he's up against. But does he want to say that he raced at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway? Well, you're darn right he does.
Yeah, no doubt.
And it is a good race. I mean, one of my fond memories of the inaugural race, I'm in one lift, and a longtime announcer or scorer, official, Jake Croxton from Illinois, is doing scoring. He's on another lift. He looks down at me. His lift was up a little bit higher, and he says, "This exceeds expectations." And I said, "Boy, does it ever."
Yeah.
And so we had the memorable Stoop Pursuit with Kyle Larson, Buddy Kofoid's run last year. It's etching into being a crown jewel. The other thing is they left the walls up.
Yeah.
My understanding is they're going to leave the grandstands up. And this has been Doug Bowles' push to make sure that is a permanent place on the calendar. And he had to convince Roger Penske that it was an event worthy of being at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway as a premier event, because Roger is not going to allow something to be less than Penske standard
Yep.
Be a part of that facility. So, yes, it's good. Is it the Chili Bowl? It's not. No.
Right.
It is not the Chili Bowl.
You know, you're such a great racing historian, and, you know, it brings memories to me of our good friend Brian Kopinski, who passed away a couple of years ago. He was one of the brightest minds in midget racing, wasn't he?
Oh, man. You get me going on this one. I mean, nobody that I knew that, particularly from a media sort of standpoint, nobody loved midget racing more than Brian Kopinski. Nobody.
Yeah. I
mean, he lived for midget racing. He was so proud of Badger, as he should have been.
Yep.
And I'm proud of Badger. Midget racing has taken some twists and turns, as it always has. What Quinn McCabe has done to revive the Badger Midget Association, Midget Auto Racing Association, the last several years, I salute him. I could not salute Quinn McCabe any harder. Here's a guy who was essentially paralyzed in a midget accident. Instead of being bitter and angry, just put all his energy into making midget racing to be as good as it could be. And that's the guy that was true to Brian Kopinski's heart. I love to talk racing history with Brian. If he got some racing memorabilia he liked, he would call me on the phone. And I'll never forget the day he called me and told me that he probably was terminally ill. It was literally a punch to the gut. I mean,
no doubt.
It's a reminder, it's a reminder to appreciate what you got and the time you got and the things that you get to do, because there are no guarantees. But, Scott, that's really nice of you to bring him up, because he would have loved this event, and he loved giving out that, the midget awards at the Chili Bowl. That meant so much to him. That was all him. He calculated the points. He did all that work. And that was all unselfish. That had nothing to do with elevating Brian Kopinski. That was all about elevating midget racing. What a fine human being. I miss him to this day.
No doubt we miss Brian Kopinski. I want to give a shout-out to Junior. He's listening in Minnesota. And Marie, who is listening from Mechanicsburg, PA. So one of our loyal listeners, Marie is.
Big weekend for Marie out there at Williams Grove this weekend.
No doubt about it. All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, more of Track Talk right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. It's all brought to you by Rod End Supply, featuring the POWRi Midwest Lightning Sprints. We'll be right back.
Track Talk. Rod End Supply is involved with a variety of motorsports as well as industrial applications with many different types of products. Since 1989, Rod End Supply has provided superior products priced competitively. Whether you're racing at the circle track or drag strip, rock climbing, or going off-road, Rod End Supply has an assortment of rod ends, radius rods, and specialty products to keep your equipment moving. Rod End Supply's experienced staff is ready and willing to help you with your needs. Their promise is to continue to provide a superior product with superior service so you can stay in front of the field no matter what it is. To learn more, go to rodendsupply.com.
Paid for client portrayal and endorsement. The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements. Past results afford no guarantee of future results, and every case is different and must be judged on its own merits.
I'm injury attorney Mike DePasquale. When I say I've got this, here's what it means for you.
It means Mike and his team can help you deal with the insurance companies, the medical bills, all of it.
After my injury, I've got this meant Mike's team settled my case for $300,000.
If you've been hurt in a car wreck, call me. I've got this.
Mike's got this. All you need to know.
Okay, guys, when we get back, you'll have about 10 minutes in the last segment.
Is your gutter overflowing every time it rains? Are you tired of climbing ladders to clean out your gutters? Well, I've got a solution for you. I've had Advantage Gutter Guard on my home for 5 years. Take it from me. It's the absolute best way to prevent clogs, keep you off the ladder, and save you time and money on costly repairs. And it's guaranteed with a lifetime warranty. Go to guttercoverkc.com. That's guttercoverkc.com, or call 816-296-6989. Gutter Cover KC, we've got you covered.
Your locally owned and operated Big O Tires has the best deal on tires, brakes, oil changes, and more. Now through October 1st, get $50 to $100 in instant savings on 4 select in-stock Nexen or National tires. It's part of their Big Deal Savings event. And remember, Big O has convenient financing options available as well. These savings won't last. So what are you waiting for? Act now. Make an appointment online at BigOTires.com or head into one of their 16 locations today. Big O Tires, the team you trust.
T-Shots in the Northland is celebrating their 3rd anniversary and they're ready to party. T-Shots is proud to offer the best entertainment and golf venue in North KC. There's more than just golf at T-Shots. Enjoy newly added pickleball courts, shuffleboard, cornhole, arcade games, and a fully stocked bar and restaurant. The holidays are coming and their private events rooms are perfect for your next event. Prepare to be entertained on every level. There's something for everyone at T-Shots, North Kansas City's premier entertainment venue. T-Shots, 169 and Northwest Berry Road. T-Shots.
When people think football,
30 seconds.
When people think consistent, exceptional service from a highly trained barber, they should think of Rooster's Men's Grooming Center. Rooster's Men's Grooming Center makes it a priority that you look your absolute best when you walk out our doors, and we provide consistent, exceptional service along the way. Come see any of our highly trained professionals if you want to look like a new man. Mention 810 and receive $5 off your next service. Relax, rest, and restore at Rooster's Men's Grooming Center in Parkville.
Welcome back. It's Track Talk here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Todd Surprise leading the show here at RBN, the Racing Boys Broadcasting Network. Kirk Elliott, my partner. And we had a chance to talk to Blake Hahn after he picked up a big win at 81 Speedway in Wichita here just a while back. And this is our conversation with Blake Hahn. Joining us now on the show is a good friend of the Racing Boys, a longtime friend of the Racing Boys. Blake Hahn joins us now. How you doing, Blake?
Oh, pretty good. How are you guys doing?
We're doing pretty good, man. You kind of stomped on them a little bit the other night. You won by 4.1 seconds. How about that?
Yeah, it was a good night for us. We had a pretty good draw, so that always helps. And it was a good night. So we always love going to Wichita, so it was fun for us. Not too far from the house, and like I said, we had a pretty good draw for the night. So started on the front row of the heat race and had a good heat race. Had a pretty good car for that race, and then got lucky and redrew with the front row for the A feature too. So starting the front row definitely helps. But yeah, it was fun.
You know, one of your biggest wins of your career came at 81 Speedway, didn't it?
Yeah, it's been a few years now, but yeah, exactly. The track's changed a little bit since then, but even since then, I've really enjoyed going there. But yeah, we were able to pick up 13,000. It's probably 6 or so years ago now. So that's a place that we really enjoy going to. And after that win, we've always kind of gravitated towards that place.
Yeah. Hey, Blake, how much different does that place race with the wall around it?
A lot different. I mean, 3 and 4s doesn't race a whole lot different to me, but 1 and 2's changed a lot. So, it's kind of always had that little bump getting into 1, but now that they've had the wall there, it seems to me like it bumps even more. So it's really fun. I think it's probably picked up even more speed since they added the wall. But it's got just a unique shape to it. Really you look at it, doesn't look like both corners are that much different, but they really do race a lot different. So it's fun and makes it really unique.
Hey, Blake, congratulations on the win the other night. Very impressive. You decided to go more 410 racing last year and this year. Just your expectations going in and where you see yourself right now transitioning over to more 410 racing. How do you see how everything has gone over the last couple of years?
Well, luckily with this year we've been able to race quite a bit with the 410, and that's helped a ton with our program. Just keeping up with speed and not having to run just once or twice throughout the year. So just being able to be consistently in the car has been awesome, and we've been able to have a few good runs here and there, which is really good. But just like anything, it's up and down. So we know we had some really good runs early in the season with the Outlaws, and then we kind of struggled through the center part of the year. And last few weeks we've been able to travel around and run a little more of 410 stuff, just some local stuff, and enjoy just getting the laps in the car and get better, and just trying to improve myself as a driver, and make less mistakes, and being able to run up towards the front of these races has been good. We haven't picked up our first win yet this year, but it's still been nice to be able to be somewhat competitive and be able to be up there battling with guys. But we've got a long way to go, but, as our program continues to grow, I feel like we're heading in the right direction, and, getting the handle of the car helps a lot. So, we've been getting better and better every time we touch the track, and, you really can't ask for much more than that.
Hey, Blake, let me ask you this question. When you drive the 410 and when you step back and get into the 360, how difficult is that for you as a driver once you get used to the 410?
The transition's not too bad. Luckily we've kind of got a pretty good handle on our setup for the 360, so I feel really comfortable once we get back in it. And, really just the difference is the speed. I kind of find myself the car bogs a little more off the corner, and it's not that it's slow. It's just a little bit slower than that 410 is, and stuff kind of slows down a little bit, so you're able to drive the car a little harder and more aggressive in times. And, it makes it fun being able to run both of them. Kind of just try to, like I said earlier, just try to make myself better and better as a driver.
Yep.
And you've gone up against the very best competition has to offer. Just how has that been important to your getting where you want to be in the 410, racing against really the best sprint car drivers anybody has to offer? The very best.
Yeah, that's our goal, is we want to be as competitive in the 410s as we were in the 360. And, this year I feel like we've have good runs, but obviously I feel like our team can do so much better than what we've been doing. So I feel like there's room for us to grow. But like I said, we had some good runs, and being able to lead laps at the Knoxville National this year on a preliminary night was really awesome. We didn't finish on the podium, but still it was a good night for us, and it was a good confidence booster. But we feel like our team's capable of a lot more. So we feel like at the end of this year, we'll regroup and, just try to come out stronger and even better next year.
Now, Blake, you won a lot of big races in your career. You were a big-time winner in the 360 ranks, 3-time short-track national champion. You won the Jesse Hockett, Daniel McMillan Memorial Race. One time you won some big races, big championships. How important is that, bringing that kind of confidence, transitioning more into 410?
It's really good, just being able to go to some of these places that I've had good success at in the 360 and go there in a 410 is just good for confidence. But, really the stuff's a lot different. And these guys that are racing with World Outlaws are, they're on their own level. So to be able to be competing with the guys that are on top of the game with the World Outlaws like Sweet and Gravel and Macedo, we've got some work to do. I've got a lot of work to do as a driver to improve and, like I said, make less mistakes and just be the best driver I can possibly be. But, being able to bounce around this year like
4
we've
minutes.
been doing, it's
4
been
minutes.
awesome. And I think it just helps us learn and grow.
10-4.
Hopefully at some point we'll be able to be competing with those guys.
Hey, I've got to admit that I've been pulling for Matt Covington this year because he's been traveling up and down the road with the ASCS National Sprint Car Tour for so many years, and he's always been in the middle of the battle for the championship. But he's 67 points behind Jason Martin right now. But as you know, that 67 points could be made up real quick, couldn't it?
Oh, yeah. I mean, for a championship standpoint, a lot can happen in just a few nights. So, Anything can happen. I'm not sure exactly how many nights they have left, but getting down to the nitty-gritty. So there's a lot of pressure on people, of course, and it really comes down to the last race. It seems like more often than not. So a lot of stuff can change, and you just got to be consistent. So it's been cool to see the battle, how it's been going this year, and look forward to see how it all pans out for those guys.
All right, there you have it. That's Blake Hahn after his victory at 81 Speedway in Wichita the other night. Kirk, you've got the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame read to do.
The National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum are in Pennsylvania this weekend. They're at the National Open this weekend out at Williams Grove Speedway, talking about the new Sprint Car Sweepstakes drawing that won't be until December of 2024, but they're taking your entries now. And coming up this next week on Saturday, it's coming up Saturday morning, 10 o'clock, is the Eastern Museum of Motor Racing auction. That's going to be raising money for the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum and their own outlets for sure. But just getting back to the sweepstakes drawing, go to winasprintcar.com to sign up for that. And they'll also be giving away a Corvette again next year. Torch Red Z06 Corvette with a Z07 performance package and $25,000 to the grand prize winner. Go to winaz06corvette.com to get registered for that sweepstakes that'll be drawn for next August.
And we want to thank our good friends up at Liberty RV for taking care of us so good, Kirk. They've been a great supporter of the Racing Boys for the last 20 years, and they do a great job taking care of us up there, don't they?
And you're heading with the RV down to Texarkana next weekend for the Short Track Nationals.
I'm going to go down to the Short Track Nationals next week.
That'll be fun.
That'll be a lot of fun. I can't wait to get down there.
50 pre-entries for the, $20,000 to win?
Yep.
Short Track Nationals.
It's going to be
a new location. No longer at I-30 Speedway.
It's at Texarkana 67.
Texarkana 67 Speedway. Be interesting. Tim Crawley in charge of the operation down there, so looking forward to that.
All you got to do is just drive down 71 Highway all the way to get to Texarkana.
Yeah.
I figured it out last night.
That's about how far?
8 hours.
8 hours.
8 hours.
A little farther than Little Rock.
Yeah, a little bit farther.
But not too much farther down there. Also next weekend, the Tuscarora 50 is next Thursday. That's the rain-delayed event at Port Royal Speedway, and World of Outlaws at Port Royal next Friday and Saturday.
Yep. Don't forget, hour number 2 is exclusively on RBN, the Racing Boys Broadcasting Network. You can watch our show on Facebook and Twitter and YouTube, right, Kurt?
And our homepage.
And our homepage as well.
Homepage.
Yeah. And we got a new website that's being designed right now, and it's going to be debuted maybe next week, right,
Next
Kurt?
week.
Yeah.
Looks good.
NewRacingBoys.com.
Yeah. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in to the show. We appreciate it. It's all been brought to you by Rod End Supply, featuring the POWRi Midwest Lightning Sprints. For the Drake, back at Sports Radio 810 WHB, for Todd Surprise, here at RBN, the Racing Boys Broadcasting Network. For Kirk Elliott, I'm Scott Traylor saying thanks for joining us. We'll see you next week right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Rod End Supply is involved with a variety of motorsports as well as industrial applications with many different types of products. Since 1989, Rod End Supply has provided superior products priced competitively. Whether you're racing at the circle track or drag strip, rock climbing, or going off-road, Rod End Supply has an assortment of rod ends, radius rods, and specialty products to keep your equipment moving. Rod End Supply's experienced staff is ready and willing to help you with your needs. Their promise is to continue to provide a superior product with superior service so you can stay in front of the field no matter what it is. To learn more, go to rodendsupply.com.
Not many handicappers have been in the business for 30 years. Lee Sterling of Paramount Sports starts his 30th year, and he's
already dropped this. All right.
Rod End Supply is involved with a variety of motorsports as well as industrial applications with many different types of products. Since 1989, Rod End Supply has provided superior products priced competitively. Whether you're racing at the circle track or drag strip, rock climbing, or going off-road, Rod End Supply has an assortment of rod ends, radius rods, and specialty products to keep your equipment moving. Rod End Supply's experienced staff is ready and willing to help you with your needs. Their promise is to continue to provide a superior product with superior service so you can stay in front of the field no matter what it is. To learn more, go to rodendsupply.com.
Here at Specialty Sportswear in-house, we do all of the screen printing, all the embroidery. We do some vinyl. The other add specialty items like your pens, magnets, notepads, calendars. You can actually buy that, build your business to make it larger. We have the largest screen printing process and the largest embroidery anywhere around in the area. We can do stuff all the way from your school clubs to sports teams, a professional look in the office. If you can imagine it, we can do it for you.
Rod End Supply is involved with a variety of motorsports as well as industrial applications with many different types of products. Since 1989, Rod End Supply has provided superior products priced competitively. Whether you're racing at the circle track or drag strip, rock climbing, or going off-road, Rod End Supply has an assortment of rod ends, radius rods, and specialty products to keep your equipment moving. Rod End Supply's experienced staff is ready and willing to help you with your needs. Their promise is to continue to provide a superior product with superior service so you can stay in front of the field no matter what it is. To learn more, go to rodendsupply.com. Rod End Supply is involved with a variety of motorsports as well as industrial applications with many different types of products. Since 1989, Rod End Supply has provided superior products priced competitively. Whether you're racing at the circle track or drag strip, rock climbing, or going off-road, Rod End Supply has an assortment of rod ends, radius rods, and specialty products to keep your equipment moving. Rod End Supply's experienced staff is ready and willing to help you with your needs. Their promise is to continue to provide a superior product with superior service so you can stay in front of the field no matter what it is. To learn more, go to rodendsupply.com.
Race fans, the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum is open 7 days a week, year-round, for you to come in and check out all of the wonderful race cars on display in the museum, and our online store at sprintcarstuff.com is open 24 hours a day for you to check out everything that we have in stock for sprint car fans. Whether it's for a birthday, anniversary, or Christmas, sprintcarstuff.com has it all. That's at the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum in Knoxville.
When Steve died, the outpouring of love was amazing. These dollars had come together to support us, and we realized, no, we didn't want to use them for us. We wanted to use them to help others.
The foundation has done so much for so many people. It helps any family that has somebody, whether it be a crew member or one of the drivers, that get hurt. We can help them to get through the situation.
I was injured in a non-wing sprint car accident that broke my neck and left me with a spinal cord injury. I was in the hospital 8 months, and that got really, really expensive, so having that extra help to help push me and my family forward was a big deal.
Yes, Steve's death is the reason the foundation exists, but it's Steve's life, and it's the lives of racers everywhere, is the reason we're able to do the work we do.
harder, faster, stronger with Rod End Supply. Whether you are running industrial, farming equipment, or a race car, Rod End Supply has the assortment of rod ends, radius rods, and specialty products that will help you lead the field in performance. Our superior design means our rod ends last longer and perform better, giving you the edge on the track and saving you money. Contact Rod End Supply or order online today at rodendsupply.com. We don't just sell them, we race them. rodendsupply.com. Serving the racing community for over 30 years.
Hey everybody, this is Larry the Cable Guide. You are listening to RacingBoys.com, and if you're not, I swear to you, get in your truck or do something, but get the hell out of this country, because you don't belong in it if you don't listen to these fellas.
It's time for America's most unique motorsports show, Track Talk, brought to you by Rod End Supply and the Power Ride Midwest Lightning Sprints. Here are the Racing Boys, Scott Traylor and Kirk Elliott.
Welcome back. It's Track Talk here on RBN, the Racing Boys Broadcasting Network. Todd Surprise running the show, as he does each and every week. Does a great job for us, man. We're so blessed to have Todd Surprise with us for all these years. It's been, 12 years now?
This is number 12.
How about that?
I was just...
Did you ever think you would be here 12 years?
No.
No.
I mean, trust me, when I was trying to find me another job to do something, I didn't want to go back into the field I'd worked in previously, which was retail, and
right.
I was done with that. So no, but I keep my jobs. I've had 4 major jobs, and all of them I've kept between 5 and 7 to 10 years. So I'm, like I said,
are you getting ready to give up on us?
No, I've only got my next stage of my life is getting ready to come pretty quick. You know, I've got one getting ready to graduate, and we have no idea where he's going to college. It could be Colorado, Texas, Florida. Who knows? Who knows
where it's going to be? Hey, all I ask you is to stay around for a couple more years so Kirk and I can get our 25th year
We
in.
get all 25 in, and we'll be good to go.
Yeah.
Well, like you said, I've enjoyed every minute of doing everything.
Kirk, you think at the end of 25 we might call it a day?
Oh, I don't know.
Huh?
I like doing this. You know, talk racing.
Yeah. But if we lose Todd, what are we going to do?
A year ago, I said I was going to retire.
I know. I'd already.
Here I am.
I made
around.
I made my plans based off of Kirk retiring. I was like, well, I think everything. I get my house sold. We'll be able to move, and
we retired from the stressful stuff. Though.
Well, that's what I was getting ready to say. The only time
we're doing now is just fun.
What I didn't enjoy was the Sunday morning teardown at the Chili Bowl.
Yeah,
and that would be Saturday night. But Sunday morning to anybody else in the world. But it's our Saturday night because we'd be there till 4 a.m.
Right.
That was my only displeasure of ever working with the Racing Boys was tear down of the Chili Bowl.
And breaking your arm.
Well, yeah, that goes without saying.
And breaking your arm on top
that goes without saying. But, hey, here's a funny story. We were cleaning. So me and my wife, we were going to be out of town this week. This is our 30th anniversary, you know.
Oh, yeah.
And we decided not to spend money and go somewhere. We're going to go somewhere when it's a little cooler.
Yeah.
Go somewhere warm. So we did our spring cleaning this week. So me and my wife every day picked a room in the house and just kind of went at it. Well, my guitar room was the day yesterday. And I found the beach ball that I had.
When you broke your arm?
And the unicorn that Kyle Larson had with at that time, his little boy. He couldn't have been more than 2 at the time. And that unicorn, that blow-up unicorn, had some serious messages on it. But I found both those things cleaning up my closet this weekend. So a lot of memorabilia from the Chili Bowl and my
beach bowl
trips.
You tried to retrieve.
Absolutely.
That forced you to fall down.
That cost you.
Brian Kapinski's the one who got it.
Yeah.
And had everybody kind of sign it and get well, Todd. Hope everything's
right.
So it's not blown up. I deflated it so it wouldn't get popped, right? And I rolled it up and put it in my.
Hard not to think about Brian Kapinski with the midgets being front and center this weekend, is it?
Listen,
that was
Brian Kapinski was the greatest mind in midget racing.
We heard Pat Sullivan say really great words. in the last hour about Brian Kopinski and just what he has meant to midget racing. And he would be front and center this weekend at the BC 39.
Oh, no doubt.
If he were still with us.
And, man, that was a devastating loss to us.
Yeah.
Wasn't it?
So,
because he was a big part of our Lucas Oil Chili Bowl Midget Nationals broadcast.
Yeah, when you and I first got started down there,
he was the first guy. It was the first guy that we hired, wasn't he?
You, me, and Brian.
Right.
And then Scotty Cook got added on, and we went from there.
As the pit reporter.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, anyway, it's a great weekend for racing. They got a little rain out there in Pennsylvania last night. That was a bummer.
Yeah.
They just couldn't quite get that whole event in at Williams Grove Speedway last night, but they'll make up that feature after the proceedings tonight, including the $75,000 to win National Open. So looking forward to that. Final night for the BC 39 going on at Indianapolis Motor Speedway Dirt Track. And another event that we haven't talked about, Scott, is at US 36 Raceway going on this weekend. It's the Missouri Nationals. And we've got 3 classes tonight at Osborne that pay $2,000 to win, including the USAC Midwest Wingless Racing Association sprint cars that were also in action last night. And Wesley Smith finally breaks through and gets a big win last night. So congratulations to him as he outruns Corey Schutte to the wire in wingless sprint car action last night. Also, they had the IMCA Race Saver sprint cars in action at US 36 Raceway, and Jeremy Husich winning the feature event in the IMCA Race Saver sprint cars, Mike Nichols in IMCA stock cars, Jeff Starmer in pure stock, E-Mods, Tim Eaton, and they'll do it again tonight. And I'm planning on heading up there, going to check it out.
Right. Tonight up at I-35 Speedway, it is Fan Appreciation Night. Everybody gets in free tonight.
How about that?
How about that?
So these two racetracks we just talked about, not very far from each other. They're going to be vying for big numbers at both places.
Just so you know, I-35 is kind of a back gate class.
A back gate operation?
A back gate operation. Would you agree with that?
With the number of classes that
How many classes they run up there?
Yeah, they like selling pit passes.
They like selling pit passes.
But tonight, they'll like selling concessions because if people show up for free, you're going to buy a lot of hot dogs and a lot of hamburgers.
Right. So,
and it's a great night. The weather could be better. It's still summer out here, it feels like.
How hot is it supposed to be today, Todd?
Almost
91, 92.
Metro area is 91, 92. Lawrence, you're looking at 95 degrees today in Lawrence. I mean, and that's day just today. We're talking all the way through Wednesday is the first day that it's going to drop back in the 80s. So yeah, we're looking at a summertime pattern here for the next week. So get out there and get what you want done this week.
So what you're saying, next weekend at this time, it's going to cool off.
It's going to be
instead
in the
of
60s.
90s, we're going to have
probably
80s.
Probably 80s, 70s, and 60s. I mean, it'll probably drop fast. You know how it has been here lately. We go right from one extreme, boom, we're up.
And it's kind of funny because in the fall or the spring, it's the same way. It's really cold, and then all of a sudden it's really hot.
This year was the strangest. We had like 1 week of really nice weather, and then it went right to hot. It was the amazing thing. Cold, cool, hot. But
right.
Yeah, that's today's definitely. If you're going to be out there, guys, don't snooze on this. Make sure you guys drink some water because this heat will jump up on you, man.
No doubt about it.
It's definitely make sure you get a few bottles of water in you.
Paul is headed to Texas in a few.
Safe travels out there.
Yeah, no doubt.
So you're heading to Texas next weekend, Arkansas, actually. Is it right?
Texarkana
is right on the Arkansas-Texas border, right?
Right. Yeah, it is. I think our old truck can make it down there and back.
Well, I hope so.
Yeah.
You got it fixed up, ready to go?
I got it fixed and ready to
You're
go.
all loaded and ready to roll. You got the golf cart in the truck?
I've got the golf cart in the truck. I've got the trailer hooked up to the truck, and all I got to do is put my stuff in it. That's all I got to do.
Lake Ozark Speedway has a big weekend of racing for the POWRi late models and a lot of entry-level classes. They started racing on Thursday night. They had races last night, and J.C. Morton won the feature event in the POWRi late model division. They'll do it again tonight. So big 3 nights of action for a lot of the, entry-level classes in action. Looks like pretty good car count over there at Eldon, Lake Ozark Speedway. And next week, Scott, what a big week at Lucas Oil Speedway. The USRA Nationals. They open up on Monday, and Racing Dirt will carry all the live video of that, but that's going to be a big week.
That starts on Monday, right?
Yep.
Yeah. I want to give a shout-out to Jack Dover, who picked up the Melbourne Bank 360 Sprint Car feature at Beatrice last night, didn't he?
How about that? Jack in the 53 car last night. Picking up the feature victory, and I was just looking down through the results here. Tim Estenson second, Stuart Snyder third, Taylor Drucke and Riley Goodnow rounding out the top 5 at Beatrice last night. 21 cars there.
That was a pretty good car count.
Yeah.
Yeah. All you need is a full field, right?
Yeah, enough to run an A main.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like. The perfect number for me is I like a B main to where not everybody makes the A main. So if you've got enough, say 25 or 30 cars, that's a pretty good number for a special event to me. Because not everybody makes the A main, and you still have to have a B main and qualify through that. So to me, 30 is the good number.
I would agree with that.
If you get more than that, then so if you get up around 50 car short track nationals, that's why they got to have multiple.
A lot
days.
of good cars don't make the race when that happens. When they get 50 cars,
and they're when you get up to that number, 50 or beyond that, that's why you have multiple day shows.
Right.
So the short track nationals, one of the crown jewels of 360 sprint car racing. I would have the Jesse Hawk and Daniel McMillan Memorial and the Knoxville 360 Nationals as part of that grouping of crown jewels for the 360 cars. Certainly, Short Track Nationals is among that. It'll be interesting to see just how that goes down to Texarkana 67 Speedway, because since 1988, when the Short Track Nationals began at the old I-30 Speedway, there was a certain atmosphere around that particular racetrack. It was in the city, and the way Tracy, the Clay family, built that up over the years, it was not so much the racing, which was great on the short track at Little Rock, but
I-30
also
was
the atmosphere of kind of the big city in October carried that feeling. Will they be able to duplicate that down at Texarkana?
They're going to have to work at it if they do. Yeah,
because it'll be a different vibe, won't you say?
Oh, no doubt about it. Yeah.
So I'm really anxious to see how everything works out. Pray for great weather next weekend. We don't need any rain to interfere, which used to interfere with that event a lot when they had it in late October and early November back in the days when...
Do you remember how cold I was down there that one year?
Right.
You remember that? I had layers upon layers upon layers on me. Do you remember that?
Yeah. In Little Rock, Arkansas, we would think it would be
and
warm.
I had little packs of heat packs in my gloves and my shoes to keep my feet and my hands warm.
And one of the big reasons why they moved it to early October instead of having it in late October, early November. And there was a couple of years, if you look down through the past winners of the Short Track Nationals, there's 2 years that it says rained out and not made up, 1992 and 2015, where they weren't able to run the Short Track Nationals because of bad weather.
Mm-hmm. I can't wait to get back down there. It's going to be warm down there. I would think it would be warm in Texas and Arkansas, wouldn't you think?
I
A little,
would think so.
little south of here.
Would the weather be that much different in Texarkana than Little Rock? I can't imagine it'd be all that much different.
I don't think it'd be much different.
It'll be hot.
Mm-hmm. It'll be warm.
I think it'll be like summertime down there. Blake Hahn is a 3-time winner of the short track nationals. He won it in 2018, 2019, and 2 years ago when he also wrapped up the ASCS championship that same night, if you all remember that. Last year, in the final race at I-30 Speedway, Sam Hafertepe Jr. was the winner. And I'd expect Sam Hafertepe to return to try to win his third short track nationals championship. Another, probably the most wins for this event would have to be Sammy Swindell. He's won this event. He first won it back in 1990, and then he's won it 4 times since then. So he's a 5-time champion of the short track nationals. He's coming off a good weekend down at Vado Speedway a few weeks ago where he swept the weekend. So Sammy Swindell, at 68 years old, is still winning races out there. And I haven't looked at that entry list right now. They just put that out there. But Sammy Swindell is going to be back at the short track nationals, I'm sure. So I'll check that just to be sure, but I think he's going to be there. Don't you think?
I don't know if he's going to be there or not, to be honest with you. I'm trying to figure out the forecast for Texarkana.
Yeah, I think it'll be fine. I don't think you'll have to worry about that.
What's it say up there? Texarkana, Arkansas.
See some rain in the forecast.
Rain on Wednesday, Thursday.
The weekend looks good, though.
Yeah, but I don't want it to rain on Wednesday and Thursday. That could be devastating.
That'll be fine. I'm going to go into it optimistic and say that they'll get it in. And Sammy Swindell is an entry among the 53 that are pre-entered. Sammy will be driving a 47 car, it says here.
The 47 car?
Yep. Number 47. So Sammy Swindell indeed is entered and will be there.
Who's the owner of that car?
I'm not sure. Some of the other entries down there include Wayne Johnson. He's going to be there.
All the heavy hitters are going to be down there.
Sam Hafertepe Jr. is entered.
Yeah.
Jason Martin,
past
the current
winner
leader of the ASCS National Tour, is entered. Of course, he would be. This is a ASCS event, even though it's not full points. It's show-up points for this event this weekend. Blake Hahn, as we talked about earlier, he told us on that interview he will be there to try to go for his 4th win at the Short Track Nationals. Matt Covington. So there you go. Sam Hafertepe and Sammy Swindell pre-entered for this event.
That's good news. You know, I always like Sammy.
We need to get him on, Sammy Swindell. He's come out with a book, right? Which you have a copy of.
I've got a copy of this.
The coffee table book.
I got a copy of this book. I bought it from Sammy, and he autographed it for me. It says, to Scott, Sammy Swindell.
You just got that, huh?
I just got this.
A lot of great photos and stories in there. And what is the title of the book, Scott?
50 plus years of winning. I haven't read it yet.
So if you're a Sammy Swindell fan, you got to get your hands on this book. And
I think we'll get Sammy on here, maybe on Mostly Motorsports, to talk about his book. What do you think?
Now, how do people get this book? Do we know?
I think you can buy it through your favorite bookstore, I think.
Can you order it online? We'll get that information. Sammy Explanation Point. Anybody who's followed Sammy Swindell for 50 years, like I have, there's a lot of great stories to tell.
Well, tell one, Kirk.
Sammy was at the center of great controversy just about every year at the Knoxville Nationals back in the day. So if you're looking for any drama to be had, the young Sammy Swindell from back in the 70s, early 80s even, was a lot there. He only won one Knoxville Nationals. That was in 1983, driving the old Milwaukee car for Raymond Beadle. That's the only Knoxville Nationals he won, and he should have won more probably, but always something happened.
How about the time they raced up at Heartland Park, Topeka on the temporary track, and him and Steve Kinser got into it? Do you remember that?
Yep. They had the paperclip dirt track, the temporary dirt track they built at Heartland.
That was a horrible race.
Drag strip.
It was a horrible racetrack.
Johnny Herrera won one of those races.
He did.
I recall.
Yeah.
So Sammy, there's that book is just chock full of great stories, and a lot of the photos in that book are great too. So
yeah.
I call it a coffee table book because if you look through it, it's got that look to it. Just the great illustrations, photos, great stories, and if you're a Sammy Swindell fan, this is something you got to have.
We'll try to get Sammy on maybe Monday. We'll try.
I'm sure the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame Museum, the bookstore up there, the gift shop up there, would have that book as well.
Well,
it's sold and shipped by Speedway Motors Inc. But you can pick it up. We're showing the ad for the Walmart ad. You can pick it up at Walmart, but you can buy, like I said, it's sold and shipped by Speedway Motors Incorporated. So
and Dick Berggren wrote a foreword in the book.
Yeah. So you always get good stuff when you get from Dick Berggren.
Yeah.
Right.
So we need to book Sammy on to talk about it.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Maybe we'll do it this Monday.
You got his number, right?
I got his number. Yeah. I'll give him a call.
Yeah, he'll come on.
Yeah. He'll want to sell that book.
Especially, he's going to be at the Short Track Nationals coming up. So, yeah, great time to have him on.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, Kirk. So we had a conversation with Trenton Berry and Chase Rodman this week.
And Trenton Berry and the Racing Dirt crew bummed out because of the weather at Deer Creek Speedway last weekend.
Rained out, didn't it?
Featherlight Fall Jamboree. They got one night of it in, Thursday night. Rodney Sanders won that feature, but Friday and Saturday night was wiped out, and this is the Crown Jewel event, one of the big Crown Jewel events for
one of their
dirt
biggest
modified
events
race.
of the year, right?
So they had to come home without knowing who the Featherlight Fall Jamboree winner is. We won't know that till next spring. So now they get ready for the USRA Nationals down at Lucas Oil Speedway this coming week. Racing Dirt crew will be heavily
all
involved
over it
with that.
Yeah.
All over that this week. Trenton Berry joins us every Monday on Mostly Motorsports, and we talked a little bit about the rain out at Deer Creek and what's left to come here in 2023.
Trenton, how you doing, man? I'm so bummed out that you only got one night in of the Fall Jamboree, man. That was a bummer, wasn't it?
Man, it was. We the part that really sucks the most about it was the place was packed for a Thursday. The car count was up from what it had been over the previous few years, and the racetrack was just in awesome shape. It had really good heat races and really good feature. And you don't see that. A lot of times you have to give up one or the other in a night of racing. And it was just on the money. Everything was perfect except for the rain. And I left last Wednesday knowing that there was probably going to be a chance, most likely, that Saturday wasn't going to happen, and Sunday didn't look real good. But thought, maybe we can salvage 2 days out of this, because Friday initially was pretty late. The rain was pretty late. It was midnight, 1, 2, depending on where you looked, by all accounts. And man, it just kept creeping up earlier in the day as we went through Thursday, and the forecast started getting closer. And I think we felt the first raindrops about 5:30, and it just set in and rained all night up there. So
80 race cars. That's incredible.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and the modifieds outpaced the B mods for once, and that's a great trend reversal, I feel like, and spoke pretty highly about the fact that people want to race modifieds, so and be at that event. So yeah, just man, it sucks. That's one of the big ones, and that's one of the biggest modified races of the year, I think. The hierarchy of things. I mean, you're obviously the deal in Boone's is huge, and this one is too. I mean, this is the biggest USMTS race of the entire year. So
Rodney Sanders picked up the first night. He's got a 164-point lead over Jason Hughes. Is this championship almost in the bag right now?
Well, I mean, we're getting ready to go run 3 days, three points races at Jason Hughes, probably his best racetrack. It's 5 minutes from the front door of his shop in Siloam Springs. So we're going to run the All-American. That's going to pay $20,000 to win here in 2 weeks on Saturday night. It's going to pay off on Friday night. Going to pay off on Thursday night. So I'd say that anything can happen at this point still. But we are headed to Jason's home racetrack for 3 days. So 5 total shows left. So I'd say that next weekend's going to go a long way to figuring out where we're going to shake out at the end of the year.
And Jason Hughes running pretty well too. He ran fourth the other night. Man, some of the racing action, Trenton. I know Rodney Sanders just dominated that event, but the action that was going on all the way through the field was pretty incredible. That racetrack prep up there, we've said it time and again, they're one of the best in the country at prepping a racetrack at Deer Creek Speedway.
It's one of the best racetracks in the entire country. There's no question about it. I mean, it's probably a top 10, top 15 in America. I mean, if you really want to sit and be honest about it, it's places out of this world. And that race too, I don't think Rodney would have got out there and gotten away from everybody had Jake Timbrook, his distributor, on the first lap, and he was I think he rolled off third after the redraw. And Dustin Sorensen was right there too. Lap car broke, and he had nowhere to go, so he kiboshed his right side and ended his night. Tim was so fast in his heat race that he started fourth. Took the lead, won by 5.2 seconds in 8 laps. So he was unworldly fast and never got a chance to show it in the main. So, but he got to finish those races to be there, and Rodney did it, and he was on fire. And he's been really good this year. It's kind of back to vintage Rodney Sanders. So, man, I'm not taking anything away from him. The guy's an absolute machine behind the wheel of the race car. He's going to have a real good shot if he just takes care of business to win this championship. But to say that it's all wrapped up, considering where we're headed and who's in second, I don't think we're quite done just yet.
What has been going on with Terry Phillips this year?
Built brand new race cars from the ground up. I mean, it's been his biggest thing. He's introduced this new car. He's been trying to figure out how to get parts and handle production and customers, and they just announced the introduction of his B-Mod program. And his house car driver is going to be J.C. Morton for that. Made that announcement last week. And so, yeah, he's just going from being a dealer to GRT to the development of his own race cars. And he was going to had the frames. The first few frames got built outside of his shop, actually up in central Missouri. And they've just taken the chassis production back in house and have hired a welder that's going to weld all their frames and figuring out how they're going to handle all that. So that's been probably the biggest thing with him this season.
So they're going to reschedule the fall jamboree for next spring. Is that right? What's going to happen?
April's what they were talking about. They didn't have any sort of dates determined just yet, but probably a Friday, Saturday at least. I'd say you had 2 days left to make that thing up. So we'll see. Never been to Deer Creek in April before, so I bet it'll pack the place out. But it's the one thing that late model and sprint car racing have that modified racing struggles with is the longevity of known events. And this was the 25th anniversary for the Jamboree. So there's nothing else on the schedule that has stood the test of time like this event has. And so to lose that one really stings. There's some other really good ones out there. The Masters has been around a long time, but it wasn't always with the USMTS. The King of America probably is the next longest one. It's had a good long run here. Ogilvy certainly looks like it's probably poised to knock down a whole lot of years, but we don't have just a lot of long-standing, what you'd call just traditional events year over year over year, where you just know that's where they're going to be. And so that's what makes losing that one sting a little bit more too, just because it was such a big deal. But it'll be cool to go finish it in April, make the best of the situation. They had no choice. There was nothing. We drove Saturday night after we got everything packed up, and I literally drove in rain from 5 minutes to the racetrack, and it was headed towards the track when we left. I just beat it getting out of there. We drove from that all the way. I mean, I had one dry spot around Kansas City there for maybe 45 minutes, but other than that, my windshield wipers ran the whole time to get home. So
yeah, there's nothing you can do about it.
Nothing you can do. I mean, honestly, nothing that can happen to change it. So.
We've been down that road.
Nothing you can do about it.
We've been down that road a time or two ourselves. Trenton, what do you got going on this weekend on Racing Dirt?
Pumpkin races are this weekend at Mississippi Thunder.
There you go.
So this is kind of an interesting race here because we lost one of the 2 days on that. Weather has affected that thing pretty adversely in the past, but a lot of times the success of this race comes down to how well the weekly season's gone at Mississippi Thunder in terms of what you're thinking for overall car count and fan count. This year's been pretty good in both regards. So. The money's pretty good there. I expect we'll probably have a big one there at Mississippi Thunder this weekend. And I tell you all that because we have a huge one coming on the horizon here with the USRA Nationals. And so while it's technically not next weekend, we've already started getting ready for it even today. That USRA Nationals starts the following Tuesday, and we're going to roll Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
And
it's our longest. Yes, it's our longest event of the whole year. The entire staff's going to be there. It's the only place that's giving USRA points that weekend, and it's a monster to go undertake that race, and it requires a whole lot of work and effort and planning and thought. So that's what we're looking at there, and going to get this pumpkin race in this weekend and get everybody back to Lucas Oil Speedway. So
then you've got I see a race at Lawton Speedway on Friday night, Saturday night, OCRS at Salina High Banks on the schedule.
Yep, we got a few more there as we wind down the seasons for all those various tours and whatnot. I'll tell you guys in full disclosure, I do not schedule for Racing Dirt. I am not the scheduling department, so some of these I got to look and be like, oh yeah, hey, that's what we got going on this week. But
you got to see the big picture.
I guess that's what the case is. But this pumpkin race is fun. It's a neat deal. Talking about Lawton too. Always enjoy the stuff we get to have out of Lawton. That's really close to Michael and Cordell, so they take care of all the stuff at Lawton, which is just super. And Salina had a really good ASCS National Tour race back in August. I was able to go to it there the last Saturday night in August. So I'd say this OCRS race will be pretty sporty there this weekend. So.
And I see you got a race at 81 Speedway again this weekend. We enjoyed watching the ASCS Sooner region the other night. Blake Hahn, we had him on a little bit earlier, won that race. Watch that race on Racing Dirt.
Yep, and it's that deal's been really cool. They just do such a good job there, man. That's a super important part of our entire operation, and we get to luckily get to be the ones that carry their racing there every week. Artane is a super progressive promoter and has a lot of great ideas and is very successful in his own right away from racing, and has afforded him a lot of opportunities to really kind of help push the ball forward for dirt track racing, which is super awesome. You need those kind of people making those decisions and being interested in it. And, he's got John Allen right there working hand in hand with him. And what they called us about that spectacular race that's going to be at the end of October there at 81 Speedway. We're going to run Lakeside and 81 to end the season. And I just think 81 Speedway is the perfect place to crown the USMTS champion. And it really is so well supported. That racetrack is tremendous. They do such a great job from the facilities, how they structure their events, to the racetrack itself. They got enough equipment if they need to work on the track and enough people around to handle everything that needs to be handled. And it's fun. Wichita is a great city. I love going to Wichita. There's always something to do. People really care about racing there. So we're going to have that one this weekend, and then we'll all be there in just about a month to wrap up the USMTS season.
Trenton Berry joining us every week on Mostly Motorsports, and there's a portion of that conversation we had with him on Monday. Johnny Allen, our good buddy down there at 81 Speedway, wanted to get us to work this in. Tonight they've got the Double S Dirtworks Incorporated Super Stock Challenge. That's tonight, $2,000 to win that feature event down there at 81 Speedway. And as Trenton pointed out, World of Outlaws going to be there the following weekend on a Friday night, and then the USMTS to close out their season on Saturday night, October 28th, 81 Speedway. And as far as Lakeside Speedway is concerned, Scott, they finished out the regular season last night. They'd already wrapped up the points the week before, but last night they had their final week for the weekly racers out at Lakeside Speedway last night. And coming up in 2 weeks, the World of Outlaws, Saturday, October 14th at Lakeside Speedway. That's going to be a huge night. And then the Grant Young-Ans Memorial Race on Friday night, the 27th of October. So 2 more big nights of racing at Lakeside Speedway coming up the month of October.
Well, I'm to be honest with you, I'm looking forward to the Talladega race this weekend.
I am too. You always look forward to Talladega.
I do.
You've been there a couple
times? I've been there a few times.
You were there when Dale Earnhardt made that dramatic run to the front. That was 2000.
He was 17th, and he ended up winning the race. Kenny Wallace pushed him to the win.
One of the most memorable finishes in the history of NASCAR. That turned out to be Dale Earnhardt's final win.
That was his last win, and I saw his last race. I was at Daytona the year he died.
Yeah.
Remember that, Kurt?
So you were there for that.
Mm-hmm.
Talladega, I've been there one time. I was there the first time they ran it in October 1997, and Terry Labonte won that day. Ray Spears, good buddy of mine, his father-in-law, we went down there and slept in a tent, a pup tent in the
infield?
campgrounds. Not in the infield, on the outside of the racetrack. And in the middle of the night, people were yelling, Earnhardt! And then you'd hear, Gordon! Earnhardt, back and forth. That was the craziest campground I've ever been in. That, you talk about party hardy all night long. It was Talladega. That's if you'd never been to Talladega, you got to get there one time. It is a place unlike anywhere else in the world. And they'll have a great crowd down there this weekend. I don't know who's going to win that race tomorrow. We'll find out. They qualify these cars about 3:30 this afternoon. They've got a truck race that starts at noon today down at Talladega. Xfinity is off. Kyle Busch won in the spring, and he's won 3 races this year, but Kyle Busch has not won since early June at St. Louis. He won at Talladega, and then he won like the second race of the season at Fontana, but I don't know. RCR Racing seems to be off a little bit. Austin Dillon's had his problems. Kyle Busch is on the outside looking in to make this final round of 8.
I think Kyle Busch has been pretty fast this year.
For the most part, but it's the last several weeks not running as well as he did earlier in the year. So
yeah,
we'll see if he can double up his win from earlier this year at Talladega this weekend, or somebody else steps up. William Byron is the big winner right now, 6 wins after his victory at Texas Motor Speedway last week. I thought Kyle Larson was he was on his way to victory. Kyle Larson was going to win that race if that yellow hadn't come out. And then the restart, he went racing side by side with Bubba Wallace, and around he went, spun the car up into the wall. That was that for Kyle Larson. And then Bubba Wallace got ahead on that next restart. But William Byron made a move down to the inside to make that pass for the lead. And here's, everybody keeps talking about Denny Hamlin and Kyle Larson right now. What about William Byron? Shouldn't he be the favorite to win this championship?
Yeah, I think so. I think he is. Is he leading the points?
Yeah. And he's got double the amount of wins as that his nearest competitor. He's got 6 wins. The next closest win total is 3 wins by Denny Hamlin. Martin Truex has got 3 wins this year. So he's doubled the number of wins of any other driver this year. William Byron.
Yeah. All right, Kirk, we got Chase Rodman.
Chase Rodman is the pit reporter for the World of Outlaws coverage on Dirt Vision. He's at Williams Grove Speedway this weekend for the National Open. We speak with him every Monday on Mostly Motorsports, get us an update on everything that's going on in the world of Outlaws. Last weekend, they were at Eldora Speedway and Sharon Speedway. Brad Sweet, his most recent winner, talks about that and about the National Open this weekend at Williams Grove Speedway.
Let's talk about Rico Abreu picking up the win at Eldora. What was that like? Rico is so good around that racetrack, isn't he?
Yeah, he is, especially when the track is how it was. I think at the Kings Royal, that was not the track at the Kings Royal that we are accustomed to seeing at Eldora. It was super fast, super heavy, couldn't pass anybody. But this weekend, they got it figured out. And the track was right back to where we know it can be and where it should be at, in a slick, very wide, 2 grooves. And Rico, put on a clinic on the top of the track, So it was definitely exciting to watch. There's a few times where I saw him, clip the wall off of turn 4, and his right rear was, it looked like it was like white walled when it came in, for victory lane. So that's what we, love to see at Eldora. So cool to see Rico win, but Gravel did make it pretty interesting there in that last corner. I think he's probably watched that replay a few times and wished he drove it in a little bit deeper, but made it exciting for sure.
Yeah, no doubt. And Gio kind of put some pressure on Rico there for a little bit as well, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. I think that if the lap cars weren't on the bottom as much as they were when they were in that long green flag run, I think Gio could have probably taken the lead. It seemed like he was the better car for the first, 15 or so laps of that race, but then they had that restart, and he couldn't really, replicate that same speed there for the last part of the race. But still a solid run for him. He was pretty excited on the podium just to be, in contention for a win again. It seems like it's been a little while for those guys. So, and then he was in contention again on Saturday. So it was a good weekend for that team overall.
Hey, let's talk about Gio Scelzi. He has elevated himself to be a factor just about every night out. What have they been doing over the last few weeks? Because Gio is relevant every night out now.
Yeah, he sure is. He's fifth fifth in points right now, only 10 or 8 behind Logan for fourth. Logan Schuart, that is, in points. So I think that all the experience that Gio had the years prior to coming on the Outlaw Tour obviously helped. Add some wins. I'd been with that team for a year or two and ran a lot of races. So they were kind of used to running a pretty hefty schedule. So it wasn't like he came in and had only ran the most races in his career at 50 or something, right? They're used to running 70, 80 races a year. So I think that helped them on the way in. The crew chief, Adam Clark, he's been very good. He's worked with some good guys, and him and Gio seem to have a pretty good relationship. So the last few weeks, though, I mean, they've been right there. They're from a point in time, it kind of seemed like they wouldn't run worse than 8th. It was like they were between 4th and 8th almost every night. Very, very consistent. And what's kind of weird, though, is I feel like we look back to last year and Spencer Basin's rookie season, I feel like we can kind of talk about the same things, right? He was very consistent. He was in the hunt for a lot of wins and ran decent in points. And then this year, Spencer's kind of fallen off a little bit. And now we see the same thing with Gio. He's very good this year. But next year, will we see him, have that same success? But he's definitely been fun to watch and a great addition, I feel like, to the full-time Outlaw field. He seems like he's got a lot of fans.
Let me ask you this. How many points can one driver make up in one night with the World of Outlaws? Right now, David Gravel's 80 points back. Is it to the point where Brad Sweet is going to win this championship, you think?
Right now, I'd say the odds are definitely, leaning towards him. But I want to say the most you can make up in one night, you get 70, I believe it is, for winning. I'm pretty sure. I might be wrong on that, but and then it's 4 points back to second, so 66, and then 2 all the way back through the field. So I want to say the most you can make up is maybe around 30-ish in one night. So I did the math before Eldora. If Gravel would finish in front of Brad by about 4 spots per night all the way for the rest of the season, he would win the championship by 1 point. Friday at Eldora, he beat him by 7 spots, and then obviously he got beat by 1 position on Saturday at Sharon. But I do think David has a better history in Pennsylvania on the big tracks than Brad does at the Grove and Port Royal. Last year at Port Royal, David was the only outlaw on the podium the entire time we were at Port. So I don't know, maybe the next 2 weeks or so could be a great opportunity for David to catch up and make it a battle at Charlotte. Last year is also at this race coming up at the Grove when Brad broke that rear end, and David was around 70 points behind last year. And then that's, that catalyst kind of, elevated him to about 16 or so points behind heading into Charlotte. So I don't think it's over yet by any means, obviously, but right now Brad looks pretty solid.
Yeah.
How frustrated can David Gravel be? He's done everything but win races. He's running up front. He's got to be frustrated. As well as he's been running, he just can't make up any ground.
Yeah, it's, that's both races this weekend. He made it very close in the last corner. Even at Sharon Saturday, he was right next to Brad and probably was the better car there. Brad just kind of found the rubber right there at the end and was playing it safe. So, yeah, David's got to be annoyed, It's hard. It's got to be tough when, even when he'd win a race and then he'd look back behind him and Brad's right there in second or third. It's hard to make up ground when Brad on a bad night is going to run 7th, So right now, obviously, Brad's been the guy for the last, 4.5 years now, and it doesn't look like he's slowing down anytime soon, which makes it tough for David and Carson to contend with, So, but I think that, when David does win and he beats Brad, it's going to make it that much sweeter when he gets that championship.
Let's talk about Brad Sweet winning at Sharon. What was that race like?
Oh, that was great. It sucks, honestly, as a fan when Brad will draw the 1, in the dash and he starts on the pole of the feature. But, it was still a great race. The whole night, to be honest with you guys, I think Sharon is the most underrated track in the country. It's so good all night long. I think, honestly, Sharon, next time we go there, they should charge a ticket to watch qualifying and then kick everybody out and charge them another ticket to watch the race, because qualifying is so exciting there every time, right up on the wall. And then all the heat races were great battles. We had some good stories with, a couple guys making their first ever outlaw feature through the heat race. The B was good for the transfer spot. And then the feature was good. It was like a 3-car battle the whole race between Brad, Gio, and David. So great stuff. The track, it did take a little bit of rubber the last 5 laps or so on the bottom, but before that, man, it was so good. The guys were moving around all over the place, and that's what it takes with these types of cars, man. You got to get it slick. You got to get them slowed down, a couple seconds off of what they're qualifying on. So that's exactly what they did at Sharon, and it turned out to be, a really good race. I know Brad led all 30, but if you watch the race, you would know that, he was pressured almost the whole way.
And you always know one thing about Sharon Speedway. When the Blaney showed up, you'll have to deal with them, both Dave and Dale there the other night. Top 10 finishes for both.
Yeah, and I kind of wish we could have had Dave get into the dash. He was relatively close in the heat. I think he was catching up. I can't remember who he ran second to or ran third to, but he was closing in on him. If it was a 12-lap heat, he would have been in the dash. So Dave, always good when we show up there. He's always, running the bottom when it comes to feature time, and has that, goofy-looking car operating pretty well. So that was cool. I didn't even realize Dale actually ran top 10 as well until you just said that. So, yeah, good weekend for those guys. And, running there all year obviously helps. And they're both very, very good at their craft. They've been doing it for a really long time. So it's actually no surprise to see them in the top 10, but still really cool.
Sheldon Haudenschild and Justin Sanders finished ahead of Dave Blaney in heat race number 2.
Yeah, that's right, because Sanders was running the top in 3 and 4. Everybody else was on the bottom, and Dave was really catching him there, but just ran out of time. So, but also I want to mention shout out to Tanner Holmes there. He had a good run after struggling the last few weeks. I think he ran 4th or 5th in the feature. So good run for him. He's missed a couple of shows here recently, but hopefully that gets some momentum going before a difficult swing for him. He's never been to Williams Grove, never been to Port, so never really been on big tracks either. So be a tough stretch for him.
Yeah. Driving the Shark Racing car, right?
He started 3rd, and he ended up running 4th.
Yeah, and he got by Sheldon there towards the end of the race, and I wouldn't count him out. I mean, as far as the battle for the lead, those 3 guys were there, and Tanner was maybe about 8 or so car lengths behind them. He was watching the whole thing go down. So maybe there was a late yellow. The race obviously went green to checker the whole night. We didn't have a single caution, but the feature didn't go, no yellows. So I would have liked to see what a yellow would have done to shake it up, but either way, it was still a great race, and I wish we could have a 6-day show at Sharon, to be honest, guys. I love going there every time.
There you have it. Chase Rodman, pit reporter for the World of Outlaws. Always a great interview with Chase on Mondays. Again, he's on every Monday with us on Mostly Motorsports.
Yeah,
and Trenton Berry as well.
Right. So both those guys are terrific. And in case you missed our show earlier in the week, we like to play highlights of that.
Yep. That's episode 281 for anybody scoring at home.
281 episodes we've done.
That's right. And that episode has Blake Hahn, Chase Rodman, Trenton Berry, and Pat Sullivan. That Pat Sullivan interview, what you heard was just a 10 minutes out of almost a 30-minute interview we had with Pat. So, like you said, all these interviews that you're hearing on Saturday morning are abbreviated down from our long play Monday versions. So if you want to hear the full thing, tune in live or go to anywhere.
Most of those interviews are about 20, 30 minutes long.
20, 30 minutes, almost every one we do. Yeah. So like you said, guys, if you want to hear the whole episode, go to anywhere you get your podcasts, or like you said, tune in live on Mondays at noon Central for 2 full hours.
Right.
Now, last night at Williams Grove Speedway, they were all ready to run that A main last night. Tyler Courtney on the pole and Brad Sweet on the outside of the front row of that feature event. That's how they'll line up 30 minutes after the National Open feature tonight. They'll run that last tonight to make that up. And you had Carson Macedo and Brian Brown on row 2. You had David Gravel and Lance DeWeese, who's driving the Macri car this weekend, lining up on the 3rd row. And you had Freddie Raymer and Justin Peck on row 4, and Buddy Kofoid and Brock Zierfoss on row 5. So that gives you kind of an idea. Last night, they had 2 groups of qualifying last night, and was David Gravel in Group A and Lance DeWeese in Group B, the top qualifiers last night. Heat winners were Gravel, Courtney, Abreu, and Brown. The Dash, we gave you that lineup pretty much, how they finished in the Dash. Tyler Courtney winning that. C-Main, Justin Whittle, and James McFadden happened to come out of the B, along with Anthony Macri, who's driving the Bernie Stugin Indy Race Parts number 71 car. Casey Kane, Danny Dietrich, all coming out of the B main.
Macri was driving that car, wasn't he?
Yeah, the 71 car.
Right.
Yeah, so, I mean, just listen to those drivers have to come out of the B main.
Kirk, Greg, he brought up a question here on the chat room. He says, what does Lakeside need to do to save itself 5 classes, 49 cars last night?
You know, the track, and you and I have talked about this, it's a big, fast racetrack that probably no longer lends itself to weekly racing, the size of the racetrack. You know, the bigger the track, the more money it costs to go racing. And that's the first issue at Lakeside Speedway. It's hard to build up a great weekly car count racing on a big track like Lakeside Speedway.
Well, let me just tell you this. I believe that racetrack is the perfect size. It's 0.4 of a mile. It's not a half mile.
No, but it's still a big, fast racetrack.
It's 0.4 of a mile, which is less than a half mile. And I think the real problem is when that track was the most successful is when it had 3 classes.
Yeah, that was 20 years ago.
No, it wasn't 20 years ago.
When they ran 3 classes?
They ran 3 classes when it was dirt.
Yeah. Well, the economics of the sport has gotten a lot more expensive now, too, since back in those days. I'm not sure. I agree with you. I prefer, as a race fan, give me 3 good classes, great car counts in each of those 3 classes, and you can put on a show and get people out of there at a decent hour.
I think what they need to do is run a late model class, a modified class, and a stock car class.
Well, how much you'd have to pay a big purse for the late models, would you not? How big of a purse can they put out?
I'm telling you, what do they pay? They pay $1,000 to win it for the modifieds, don't they?
At Lakeside?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure about that. I don't know.
I think they do. But what I'm saying is if they were to pay $1,200-$1,300 for late models, they'd have some cars out there.
Now, what kind of full-blown late models? What are you talking about?
No, ULMA type cars.
Like the Power Eye late models that's running at Lake Ozark this weekend?
Something like that.
I think they run that same class at Lucas Oil Speedway on Saturday night.
Or better yet, maybe they could run crate late models.
Well, I don't know. I don't know what the future lies at Lakeside Speedway for the weekly racing program.
Listen,
but, you know, it's not just Lakeside Speedway. It's a lot of racetracks.
Lakeside Speedway was a late model racetrack when it was over there on Leavenworth Road. And a lot of people forget about that. That was the draw for the people that wanted to watch late models. They went out to Lakeside Speedway at 99th and Leavenworth Road to watch late models race.
But that's a long time ago.
Well, so what? What difference does it make?
Running late models on a weekly basis at any racetrack is, I mean, if it could be done at a reasonable cost for everybody, more tracks would be doing it.
I'm just saying if they run a ULMA type race car, or better yet, a crate motor class, I think that they get more fans out there.
Well, I don't know. I do agree that some reevaluation of everything that's happening at Lakeside in terms of what cars you're going to run, the lineup of classes, all of that is in order based on the car counts. And last night is kind of an outlier because it's at the end of the season. It's late September.
No,
a lot of these guys, the points were already wrapped up the week before, so nobody was running for points last night. So I don't think you can really take the car count from last night and make any firm determination.
I agree with you, Kirk. It's towards the end of the season, and the car count goes down as the season goes on.
But the A-Mod class, which typically had drawn, last night they had 8 cars. Even during the middle of the season, the A-Mod class at Lakeside Speedway
is dead.
I think so. I don't know how you can justify keeping any class that brings in typically less than 10 cars going. I don't know how you can justify that.
You got to get rid of them.
So we'll see where it goes from here. Don Mars got a lot of decisions to make out there. It's a great facility. Lakeside Speedway is a great facility that I think at this point lends itself better to special events and bigger events than it does the weekly program at this point.
Greg says IMCA is the answer to the... Do you believe that?
Well, if IMCA was the answer, why hasn't US 36 Raceway really stuck with that? They were kind of the ringleader of IMCA racing in this area. This part of town, back when it was Lakeside, Riverside, IMCA was the thing around here. Right, but times have changed. Things have changed. IMCA racing...
Let me ask you this, Kirk. Do you think that the IMCA modified is cheaper than the USRA or USMTS modified? I think it
is
a little bit cheaper. Yeah. Not a lot. Not a lot cheaper.
Now there's some places
maybe a little bit
where IMCA is thriving. I mean, you look at the Super Nationals of Boone every year; they still get a lot of cars up there for that event.
500 cars, don't they?
Right, but there's not a lot of IMCA racing in and around Kansas City right now, and if you got to have more than just one racetrack buy into that to make that really work. You can't just have one or two racetracks that are in IMCA in this area and make it thrive. You got to have multiple tracks within driving distance of Kansas City that buy into the IMCA model for that to really work.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
So right now, USRA, that kind of rules the roost around here. So it's a tough call, but we're living in very uncertain economic times right now for everybody, and we don't think we're just picking on one racetrack here.
No,
because this is a problem that everybody's got to deal with. Is their local weekly racing program?
A lot of tracks are backgate promoters, right?
Well, yeah, because and I'll tell you why they are that way. Because they know pretty much every week what they're going to get at the back gate.
Right.
The front gate, not so sure. I mean, there's a lot of variables on what the front gate's going to generate for you every week. The back gate, you pretty much know.
Yep.
And I can see why a lot of operators operate that way. For the race fan, I don't think it's so great because if you got 6-8 classes out there and it's running late
and you got to run late into the night.
And I know I-35's done a much better job of tightening up their program up there, so they get done early typically. But if you're a race fan, want to go to the races, and you're just a casual race fan, you have no dog in the hunt. You don't have a driver that you're specifically going to watch. If you just want to go watch the races, they have a choice between going to a racetrack that has 8 classes versus maybe a special event that's featuring a late model class or a modified somewhere. That casual race fan is going to go where the big drivers and the big money is on.
The stars are.
The stars.
Right.
That's right.
Yeah, no doubt.
And I know as a race fan, I'm just talking for me, that I'm at the point now, and I've followed weekly racing for a lot of years, okay? I watched weekly racing for 45, 50 years. But I'm at the point in my life, give me the big money on the line and the big stars. That's what I want to go see.
Yep, no doubt about it. All right, thanks everybody for tuning in to Track Talk here this morning. We can't appreciate you enough. We got people all over the country listening to the show, and I can't thank Todd Surprise enough for what he does for us here at RBN, the Racing Boys Broadcasting
I just
Network.
want to throw one thing in.
Yeah.
NHRA just down the road in St. Louis this weekend, Worldwide Technology Raceway.
Mm-hmm.
They had qualifying yesterday. Doug Coletta in Top Fuel is on a roll. He's won the last 2 races. He's a number 1 qualifier again this weekend in Top Fuel. Bob Tasca in Funny Car, Erica Enders in Pro Stock, and Gage Herrera in Pro Stock Motorcycle, all number 1 qualifiers. So if you're a big NHRA fan, not too far down the road, Worldwide Technology Raceway.
Why don't you drive
weekend.
over there, Kirk?
Who knows? Might do it. I don't know. I'm going to US 36 tonight. I'm going to go up and watch some non-wing.
Well, you can
sprint
go tomorrow.
car racing. Nah, I'll probably hang around, watch Talladega, and
yeah, no doubt.
So I'm. But tonight, I'm heading up to US 36. Where are you going?
I think I might head up to US 36 as well. Yeah, no doubt.
So it looks like a great night. So
it's going to be warm.
It'll feel like summertime, won't it?
Yeah, it will. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in to Track Talk this morning. It's all been brought to you by Rod End Supply, featuring the POWRi Midwest Lightning Sprints. They'll be racing up at I-35 tonight. This is the fan appreciation night up at I-35 Speedway.
Free grandstand, huh?
Free
Is that what they
grandstands. Yep, free grandstands.
Wow.
Sell hot dogs and food tonight.
Should be a big crowd up there tonight.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Thanks again. We want to thank Todd Surprise for everything he does for us here at RBN, the Racing Boys Broadcasting Network. For Kirk Elliott, I'm Scott Traylor saying thanks for joining us. We'll see you next week right here on Track Talk.
Go harder, faster, stronger with Rod End Supply. Whether you are running industrial, farming equipment, or a race car, Rod End Supply has the assortment of rod ends, radius rods, and specialty products that will help you lead the field in performance. Our superior design means our rod ends last longer and perform better, giving you the edge on the track and saving you money. Contact Rod End Supply or order online today at rodendsupply.com. We don't just sell them, we race them. rodendsupply.com. Serving the racing community for over 30 years.